This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Side Quest, the every other week Authors and Dragons fuckery when, well, we're not doing our normal main game fuckery. My name is Rick Gualtieri, and I'm joined tonight by Drew Hayes, Joseph Brassey, and Misty Massey.
Hello.
Hello.
And you know, I was gonna say your name separately that time, and then I was like, no. I like the way they sound together.
Aw.
You always go for the rhyme scheme when you can.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're cousins, identical cousins. We're not cousins.
Oh my god. Was that the Donna
What?
Donna Reed?
No.
Is that the Donna Reed show?
No, the other,
Yes, they're cousins. Identical cousins.
Yeah.
Da.
I don't
They laugh
remember
alike,
now.
they talk alike, at times they even walk alike. What a crazy pair. Yeah, I watched a lot of Nick at Night as a kid.
Okay. Patty Duke.
Patty Duke!
Yeah.
Yes!
You guys want to take a break and put like onions in your belts or something?
I mean, dude, I literally cut my teeth on like Taxi, Cheers, Get Smart. There's a reason I have a deep love of sitcoms and an abiding love of like classic shitty comedy.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I watched them. I watched them for real the first time. So, but things like WKRP and
Hell yeah.
and MASH.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Mary Tyler Moore Show.
yeah.
I never watched either of those things.
Well, just get off our lawn then.
Yeah.
So now that we've established at least 3 out of us or 4 of us are bitter and old, why don't we talk about something else that potentially makes us bitter? It's almost mid-December. I figured we'd take a little bit of time and discuss things we like and maybe things we don't like. You know, about the holidays, including any memories we want to share.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So why don't we start off with a simple one? And I know we've gotten this question in the Discord for for our main game, but not when you've been around, Misty. So think of what is like a Christmas present in the past that you've gotten that just stood out as special.
I want to throw out here real quick, Rick, that when you asked if we had any special Christmas memories, never in my life have I more wished that I had the monologue from Gremlins memorized about finding her father in the chimney. If I could have just deadpan gone into that, it would have been so fucking good.
That would have been perfect.
That would have been brilliant.
But I don't know that monologue at all.
Wow. Thanks for failing us.
At least I alluded to it. That's kind of good.
No, that is a good one. Now I'm trying to think if I have anywhere like I woke up and it was like it's like oh wow, presents, and the dog is dead now.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, most of my Christmas morning disappointments were mostly just like minor things like along the lines of, oh, let me open up this big box. I bet it's 100 pack of socks. Just what I wanted.
So I actually have like the first time I got an iPod, my mom took the box and put it inside another box, inside another box, inside another box, inside another box. So it was actually inside of this gigantic box.
Awesome.
With each box leading to another smaller box, and that became kind of a thing that my family did for a while. You would pack gifts inside weird shaped containers to throw everyone off.
I did that to my wife one year, and she got really pissed because the outside box, I covered entirely, 100%, as in like no spots left empty, in duct tape.
Oh man, Jesus.
That would have been an unpleasant Christmas indeed.
Oh, it was so wonderful to watch, but I paid for it.
As brightly you should.
Oh god, yeah. That's weird. In terms of like special Christmas memories, like I don't really have one where I can think of a specific gift that I got, but like two come to mind. One was like I grew up really far away from my extended family, so for a long time when I was a kid, Christmas was just me and my parents. And then after I turned 10, it was me, my parents, and my sister. But like every house that I had lived in up until recently has had like a wood fire stove or a wood fireplace, so we always had Christmas by the fireplace and everything, and that was always kind of very magical. But probably like the Christmas that has left the most intense memory on me was actually last year's, because we couldn't go to see my family, we couldn't go anywhere, so we just did Christmas at home, me and my wife and the kids, like just the four of us, and it was like amidst all of the horror and terror of last year, it was like this little island of warmth, and it was actually very, very nice.
Yeah, sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
I've gotten a number of really nice presents from my family. My mother used to feel like if I didn't cry because from happiness on Christmas, then she had somehow failed me. And so there were a lot of nice presents through the years that did touch me emotionally and make me cry. But to be honest, the best Christmas present that I remember was actually something that we gave. It was when my son was like 15, I think, and either 14 verging on 15 or 15 already. But my husband and I had decided to get him his own gaming computer, and we got him an Alienware. And
nice.
Back it was a nice computer. And back then, when you ordered the Alienware, this was before Alienware was owned by Dell. And so back then,
they were good.
Yeah, back then when you bought the Alienware, it came in a giant wooden crate.
Oh, that's cool.
It was
That's
very
neat.
cool, but it was enormous. And so we hid it we had Christmas at my parents' house. And so we had it shipped there, and Daddy hid it in the garage under stuff. And on Christmas morning, we came out, and there's the tree and the presents, and we sat down, we all opened all our presents, and we get to where everything is done. And we were going to turn around to Blaze and go, "Okay, Blaze, we've got one more present Santa left for you in the garage." And so we all turn around, and he's not there. And we're like, "Where'd Blaze go?" He had finished wrapping his presents and had gone to the bathroom or something. And so we're like, okay, well, that drama fell flat. So he finally came back, and we were able to steer him into the garage and show him his Alienware. But it was just so funny when it's my sister and my husband and Mom and Daddy, and we're just sitting there going, we don't know what to do right now.
I was just saying, when you started off this story, I'm glad you added that rider of, like, happy tears, because I was thinking, how awful could that have been? It's like, I don't want to open the gifts. Last year there was a dead rat.
I know.
Why is it always Scorpion?
No, look, honey, it's a box of oysters straight from the dock. Well, yes, 2 weeks ago, but still.
Why did you get me this beef jerky? That's not beef jerky. That's your Uncle Billy's mummified hand.
Oh, thanks.
Jesus. Oh, good.
What I always
Well,
wanted.
you know what? Joke's on you. Uncle Billy was a dick. I am happy to get this one.
Start chewing on it right in front of him.
Yeah. We call this the Jeremy Irons shit sandwich move.
If I eat Uncle Billy's mummified hand, I gain his powers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that power was just being an asshole.
Unfortunately, now I have the power of racism.
Racism and betting on the Bills? Oh, Uncle Billy.
Yeah, getting, when I was a child, like, a Shogun Warriors Godzilla, which I've told this story before, was my top thing. But I take great pleasure in just, like, just having fun giving stuff to my family. And I hate to say it, I do take a lot of great pleasure in, like, I try to give my wife really awesome gifts, but I kind of try to be annoying while I'm doing it. Like, another year, what I did was, like, her name is Alyssa, and everybody spells Alyssa differently. So every gift had Alyssa spelled differently on, and every one she opened, you could just tell she was getting angrier and angrier. And it was just and, like, of course, it was just feeding my assholeness.
Poor thing.
So I like doing things like that where it's like, where it's like stupid, but I know it's going to annoy her, but she's going to love the gifts anyway, but I'm still going to hear about it like years later, long after the gift is like forgotten. It'd be like, yeah, remember that time you put like 3 pounds of duct tape on my gift?
You found the gift version of a compliment sandwich.
Backhanded gifting.
She tried doing the same thing with me one year with the duct tape. And like I opened it, looked at it, I just walked over and got a pair of scissors.
There you go.
I was like, oh, this is not really daunting me.
Really?
It might shock you to learn, I considered how I would topple this while I was creating it.
Unfortunately for you, I have studied how to destroy my own creations.
You merely adopted the duct tape. I was born to it.
Oh God!
Molded by it.
now, next time I do, I got to get a Bane mask for like Christmas. Why are you wearing that? You'll see.
No one wanted to know who I was before I put on the mask. We know it's you, Dad. We can see.
Yeah. And unfortunately, she's like, like if she paid attention to me enough, or like the same things I knew, she would know the perfect like counter, and like it would be ready for me. I'd be start doing that, and like every like gift would be like would be like labeled bang.
Bang.
My name isn't Bang.
I can't hear Bane quotes anymore without thinking of the Oral Nuts version of him that had it so that they completely redubbed all of Bane's scenes in the movie so that he was just a health food addict.
Oh man.
What did you have for breakfast? Bagel and cream cheese? Have you heard the phrase, you are what you eat? Because when I look at you, do you know what I see? Bagel and cream cheese! What did you have for breakfast? A frowny biscuit?
I can't hear Bane and not think of the Harley Quinn cartoon version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitive and just the best. It's like, that hurt my feelings when you stole my chicken. Right, Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them. I think I've done this one before as well. The one that kind of stuck out to me was first bike, because that represented the ability to go places and like have more freedom in my small town, and so that was a big one for me.
Nice.
I'm envisioning Drew having like a Captain Jack Sparrow moment there. So, you know what this bike represents, mate? Freedom.
I mean, you're not too far off, dude. And then I had that exact same thing again when I got my car. And then at 18, I bolted 12 hours away. Fucking hated my small town.
Wow. Yeah, my dad still complains that I went off to college and never came home. Because I really kind of didn't. I mean, I came home for holidays and stuff, but I didn't move home again. I stayed up here where I live now. And eventually got married.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, mine was kind of a forced relocation because I went away to college, and my mother, not the most financially savvy person, kind of lost the house in between.
Oh dear.
really?
So it was kind of like, hey, college is over, and well, I guess I'll find a place to rent.
Oh man.
Damn.
Oh, no, I was out of there so fast that if my town was a building, there'd have been a fucking Drew-shaped hole in the door.
How about the opposite? Like, what's one that's less good and like not necessarily depressing.
I mean, the mummified hand feels like a pretty strong contender out of the gate.
It was delicious.
None of my family listened to this, so my oh god, I feel like talking about my mother-in-law is just it's gonna come back and bite me in the ass.
That's okay. Go ahead and do it because I'm going to do it too.
Okay, so it's actually it's not so much a gripe about anything specific as like my wife's whole family's on the East Coast, and I can't do it.
Do it.
Sorry, I can't speak. No. The main issue is certain family members, I've had this on both sides, honestly, get such a crystal clear, perfect image of what they want Christmas with their grandkids to be, that I'm just like, it's not going to be like you have it in your head. Because children aren't predictable like that. Like, they're going to do things that are going to be the opposite of what you want, and because you have vested so much, like, energy and hope and emotion in having things exactly how you want them and having the kids behaving exactly how you want them, like, you are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, unless your plan includes a 3-year-old pissing on the dog, then
yeah, it's like
you're not braced for reality.
And it amazes me, and like, I hope that I can avoid this if I end up having grandkids. Like, I hope that I can avoid the thing where you apparently forget somewhere along the lines that children are unpredictable chaos machines, and that they're just not going to behave in the way that you want them to or expect them to. Like, they're not there to they're not there to conform to your Kodak moment.
Nope.
Oh, God, now I want to be at Christmas to your place when your kids are surly teenagers, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
give Nana a kiss. Fuck you, old lady.
Oh man, my son, my son was like, at one point told one of his grandmothers, basically, like, she's like, "Can I have a hug?" And he's like, "No."
What?
And it was just like looked at us and we're like, we don't make him hug anyone he doesn't want to.
That's fair.
Like, bodily autonomy, dude. Kids don't have to give hugs if they don't wanna.
And kids know who they don't want to touch.
Mm-hmm.
They can feel it. So, well, mine was a mother-in-law story, and I'll go ahead and tell it because my mother-in-law is no longer with us, and so even if she did listen to the show, which I sincerely doubt she ever would have, it's okay. But she was a special lady, and I loved her very much, but she was a bit eccentric, and sometimes we got presents that I just couldn't quite figure out. And one of the last years that we had Christmas together, I was performing in a couple of belly dance troupes. And as if anybody doesn't already know, when you're a belly dancer, you generally show the middle part of your body. The skirts and things sit at your hip, and you usually have a very short top. And that's just standard for the kind of dance that we did. So this Christmas, I open a package and there is a full-length girdle in it. Like big white thing with all the stays on the side. And I said, "Oh, thank you." And she said, "That's for you to belly dance in."
Oh.
And this is years later, and I still haven't figured out where her mind went to me dancing in this girdle that would have gone from waist down to halfway down my thigh, because it was a full length. I don't even know where she found it, but it was pretty impressive. So, like, kind of my worst and my funniest at the same time.
my two worst were both Secret Santas. And I know you should never be ungrateful for gifts, but you can always tell in a Secret Santa the person who put no effort into it, and I always wind up with that person. Oh. So the first one, I was working at my old college, Stevens, and everybody's getting cool gifts, and I open mine, and they're ties from the campus store.
Wow.
Which you could tell the person had bought like 5 minutes before. And oh, God, I'm surprised I didn't get fired, because I turned to everybody. I opened them. I'm like, "Oh, these are nice in case I ever want to hang myself." That kind of, I thought it was funny, but the rest of them did not think so. And then years later, I was doing one with my wife's family, and I drew her cousin, and I open it up, and it's a robe, and I'm thinking, okay, it's a robe, that's cool. It's a robe that's obviously made for somebody about 5 feet tall, which I am not, and it was obviously a woman's robe.
Oh, man.
So it was either re-gifted or she just grabbed something out of her closet she didn't want anymore and threw it into a box and said, "Oh, he'll like this."
Oh, wow.
And I was just sitting there looking at this like, you've got to be fucking kidding me?
Wow.
So yeah, Secret Santas I have not had the best luck with.
Yeah.
Man, I know I have gotten like bad gifts, but my brain just does not hold on to them. Like I'm sitting here pulling. Look, the worst I can think of is a bad bottle of wine from a like a Santa swap thing from a couple years ago. And I know there've been worse, but it's just, yeah, it's gone. My brain purged that shit.
See, I like getting the bad bottle. Like when I worked at this one place, our boss every year, you could tell what she'd do. She'd get a case of this shitty red wine and hand it out to people, acting like she was like she was Saint Nick herself. And it was crap wine, and everybody knew it was crap wine. But you know something? I looked forward to it every year because it was shitty wine, but goddamn, I made some really good gravies with that wine.
There you go.
Because it was so
Yeah.
pungent, it's so pungent and stuff. It was like mixing it with beef gravy made an awesome gravy. So it was like every year my wife was like, "You get more of that crap wine?" Yeah, yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is the bad wine is perfect for cooking.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, like you read all these things. They're like, no, you should get a good wine for cooking. No, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're cooking with red wine, get a bad red wine because that will make so much more flavorful of whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, the if you wouldn't drink it, don't cook with it rule is not a good rule.
No.
Oh, I did have one funny one. I can't say it was worse. It was just more amusing. So obviously, most people know I collect Transformers, and I have them all displayed throughout my office. You know, for anybody who steps in. So one year, my wife got me this one Transformer, and it wasn't one I had any interest in, but I was like, all right, fine. You know, I'll put it up on display. That's fine. You know, it was one I didn't have. Then the next year, she got me the same one. And I was like, I already have it. Well, how am I supposed to know that? Because it's right there in my office. And then the next year, she got me the same one again. And then she got mad when I told her. I was like, you've gotten me this 2 years in a row. No, I haven't. I was in your office looking. Come with me. You see those right there? The two twins standing next to each other, right in open display.
Also, you bought it 2 years in a row.
I know. So I have 3 copies of this one that I didn't want one to begin with.
I mean, I'm amazed at that point it just didn't become a yearly tradition.
Well, it was also an expensive one. That's the problem.
Oh wow.
You know, it'd be one thing if it was like a cheap $5 one every year. Like, you know, that would be kind of funny. But this would be more like, okay, let's have a little talk about budget and this thing here.
She's trying to do her own version of the movie Gaslight, right?
God.
Yeah, I figure maybe like 10 years from now, my entire office will be nothing but this one.
Right.
Wow, you must really like this figure. Funny story, that.
Rick's final book is about these figures just slowly closing in on him, and then he vanishes one day.
Hey, I don't trust toys. I think sometimes the toys do come to life. I don't know.
Oh God, I think I've mentioned this before. Growing up, my mom says this was not intentional. Bullshit. Like, this room had to be built to make sure we never had guests that stayed too long, because our guest room was the walls were painted. They called it like a crimson. It was fucking blood red. It was red like the walls were bleeding. The walls were lined with black and white photographs of people that were clearly passed, and then there was a desk upon which a collection of old, like, china, like the porcelain dolls, sat staring at the bed while you slept. I was like, this is a fucking torture chamber.
I got that one beat because I haven't talked to him in a long time, but my stepmother was into collecting all things clown related.
Ooh.
And one time, so I took my girlfriend at the time to, like, you know, to visit them, and they were like 6 hours away in, like, you know, Pennsylvania, so we were staying overnight, and they put us in separate rooms. Not a big deal. My room was pretty normal, and I got a knock on the door after the lights are out. And my girlfriend's like, come into my room. You're staying with me. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, illicit sex in the parents' house, And I step in there and I see why she wanted me in there, because one thing I didn't realize was she was terrified of clowns, and two, this room was full of life-size clown mannequins.
Mannequins. Oh, that's worse. That's fucking worse.
So bad.
Like this was literally one of those rooms where you're like, this is how I die. Tomorrow they'll find me propped in the corner with clown makeup on, and they'll be like, oh, another doll to add to our collection.
I had a buddy whose mom collected those super realistic children, like dolls of children.
Yes.
Oh, those are creepy.
Of various ages. Like, they look lifelike, except for the fact that they're just this vacant-eyed stare. Anyway, she collected them, and apparently, the first night he was back in the house after, like, when he came home from basic training, she arranged them around his bed while he was sleeping, so he woke up with all of them staring at him.
Okay, that's hilarious.
That's maybe not something you want to do to someone who just got back from the army.
It's like, hey, listen, I'm sure you think you're fearless right now, but I'm going to remind you that there is shit in this world that you still need to be terrified of.
Well, do you remember the movie Small Soldiers?
Yes.
That was
Yes,
about
I do.
the figures coming to life and battling and everything. Well,
Yeah.
my son absolutely loved that movie, and so that year for Christmas we gave him Major Chip Hazard and Archer, the two main characters, and they were about 6-7 inches tall. They were fairly big for action figures. And one day I'm in the kitchen and I'm washing dishes, and I kind of yelled over my shoulder to ask Blaze if he had any cups in his room, and he said, "No, ma'am." And I said, "Okay." So I finished up the dishes, and I turn around, and right there, maybe 1.5 feet away from me, are Major Chip Hazard and Archer staring at me. And Blaze is nowhere to be seen. And I said, "Blaze!" He said, "What?" I said, "Your toys are in here." And he said, "I've been looking for those." It's like, yeah, sure you were, you little shit. Oh, that was scary.
Fucking kids' toys transformed into goddamn weeping angels.
Right, exactly.
It's probably we actually lost 2 of those in the flood we had. So a couple years back for Halloween, we actually got like, I think it was like 2 or 3 life-size cardboard cutouts of weeping angels, because we were doing like, kind of a strobe light kind of Doctor Who setup at, like, at our kids' school for Halloween. God, I never thought, and we used them a couple times in, like, in Halloween's past, just like putting them in places you wouldn't expect. You turn a corner and one of them is there. Multi-use things, I'll say.
Hey, I can bring this back around to the topic then, because speaking of weeping angels and Christmas, I right now have a weeping angel on the top of my Christmas tree.
Lovely.
I had a regular angel that sat on the top of the Christmas tree for years and years, and I just got tired of her, and so with a little bit of really sturdy glue and a lot of gray paint, I turned her into a weeping angel.
Nice.
So
anything they make weeping angel should be mechanized to just move every once in a while.
that would have, it was beyond my capability, but that would have been perfect.
Once every 100 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a wild guess then that based on your tree topper, at least up until Chibnall era fuckery with the schedule, maybe was the Doctor Who Christmas special part of y'all's yearly tradition?
It actually was not. I have never really been into Doctor Who.
I don't have the BBC America, so I haven't seen Doctor Who in a long, long time.
Oh.
I used to enjoy it.
I
dropped off about like a season ago. I like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, but I didn't like the writing.
Yeah, it's exactly where I was at. I never watched it. Like a few years ago, I finally just powered through New Who because I hate having that cultural blind spot. And then I was kind of keeping tabs with it, but man, Jodie Whittaker is doing a great job, but it's hard to watch through the Chibnall era.
Yeah, we had cable through the Matt thing. What's his last name?
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Thank you. That's a hard name to remember. But anyway, we had cable through his era, and so I did watch it fairly regularly through that. But then we cut the cord, and that was it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube TV, and they've got it. That's why I happen to
Oh, okay. I guess
still
I
have
should probably
the
catch up.
access. Well, let's go ahead and move then to not from the one we don't have to what shows or movies do y'all have on Christmas that are part of your yearly tradition, or at least ones you happen to like a lot, even if you don't make a yearly event out of it?
Well, tree trimming always
God.
involves White Christmas followed by Die Hard.
Nice.
Oh, White Christmas is one of mine. My mom puts it on every year growing up, so it's I've seen that movie many a time.
Oh yeah.
Holds up better than you would think from the era, with like the one real obvious exception song.
Yeah, it has moments that I have to go,
Yeah.
we're better than that now. We're better than that now. But yeah, I still do love it. So
Yeah, it's honestly from that era. We've watched stuff from on ATM that holds up worse. Monster Squad holds up worse.
really. Okay.
Oh, Monster Squad holds up bad.
Wow.
I mean, there's a character we nicknamed Johnny Sex Crimes, and it was not inapt.
The 80s.
I know. Such a glorious time.
My wife loves, and it's hard for us to watch together because I'm one of those people that if I don't like a movie, I will comment during it,
Oh.
much like an ATM. So
What you're supposed to do?
one of the ones she loves, and I'm okay with it. I don't really give her too much shit. Like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one though, which I will not shut up during, is Polar Express with its dead-eyed Tom Hanks and creepy little kids and the one annoying kid who played Mandark on Dexter's Lab.
Wait, like that's a genuine watch, not like a hate fuck watch? Because I would get a hate fuck watch for Polar Express.
Oh no, she loves it, and I'm with you there. I will hate fuck the shit out of that.
Yeah. I love the book. I don't like the movie at all.
Oh yeah, the book was great.
Yeah.
The movie was, well, I mean, nightmarish. Rick had it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do an ATM of that one.
Oh, I mean, it's Tournament of Tinsel time. This would be the moment.
Oh, God, let me think. I don't have any movies in particular, but there are a couple of bits of music that were a part of my childhood. My parents really loved the Nat King Cole Christmas album, so I can't listen to any Nat King Cole Christmas music without immediately being taken back to my childhood. So I will put that on often when I'm feeling, lonely or getting bogged down around the holidays. It always takes me back to a good place. I'm trying to think if there was any movies.
Nice.
God, I didn't really watch a lot of Christmas movies. I mean, my wife watched the Nightmare Before Christmas a lot, and I did not really become aware of that. Like, I didn't actually see the movie until I was an adult, and she sat me down and had me watch it. Because I just kind of missed that cultural touchstone. But yeah, I don't think I have any Christmas movies that I regularly watched. I haven't even seen Elf.
I haven't seen Elf either.
I don't particularly like Elf.
How have y'all not seen Elf? I'm actually just amazed that y'all have. That thing was fucking everywhere.
I didn't watch a lot of TV.
I don't like Will Ferrell that much.
Huh.
What about the Rankin Bass specials?
Oh yeah, I did watch those. Yeah, so I suppose I don't.
Yeah.
I do like that. Yeah.
However, the Grinch.
Yeah, I liked the I don't know, something about the Rankin Bass claymation was creepy that it stuck with me more. I worked a few references into Holly's Jolly Christmas, my latest Shingles title that's out right now. Just throwing that quick plug in there. Literally, there's two characters that one is named Sean Meister, who runs a snow cone shop, and the other is Harry Meister, who runs I think like a chili or Thai food restaurant.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, the Heatmeister, Coldmeister songs, those were badass.
And they're now in my head.
Those are jams, man.
Yep. And I loved the Grinch too, because I was particularly fond of the dog, Max. And so I watched every year to make sure that Max was happy at the end again. So.
And it has that Chuck Jones animation style, and there's just so much sarcasm in that type of animation. Like you can see it in the Looney Tunes and stuff.
Yep.
I actually I remember as an adult listening to the Grinch theme song on the radio, and that was the first time that I learned that the guy who sang the song has the coolest name I've ever heard, which is Thurl Ravenscroft.
Yep.
That's the coolest goddamn name ever. I'm like, how are you not a sorcerer?
How do we know he wasn't?
You hear that voice? Damn well might have been.
Yeah.
Well, isn't he the main voice for the Haunted Mansion at Disney World?
He might be.
I think so.
I'd believe that.
He died in 2005.
Or did he?
I have a modern movie tradition that came about because of Authors and Dragons. By, I don't know, circumstance or enjoyment. I've been watching Santa's Sleigh every year since we started watching it for that first at the movies.
Oh, that is pretty
and
awesome.
for anyone who hasn't caught up with that, it's definitely on our free feed by now. But Santa's Sleigh is a movie starring Bill Goldberg as a murderous Santa Claus. A bunch of actors doing cameos that are way, way above that shitty movie's pay grade, and it's very weird. And yeah, it's just an altogether shit show, and I love it. And I've watched it every year. I'm going to watch it again this year.
Oh God! I imagine like 40 years from now, it's like Drew's grandkids are like, "No, we don't want to go visit Grandpa Drew. We always put that movie on."
This is my White Christmas, motherfuckers.
Isn't there like a Christmas Chronicles or something? It's like this Kurt Russell is like a warrior Santa type thing.
Yeah, fuckable Santa.
Yes.
Kurt
Yeah.
Russell.
And it's so good.
I have not seen that one.
It's
I haven't
good.
seen it either, but
Is that the actual name? Fuckable Santa?
No.
I mean,
No.
basically,
Christmas
it's Kurt
Chronicles.
Russell as Santa. It's fuckable Santa.
God, I wish that was the name of the movie.
yeah, it's like the Christmas Chronicles or something. There's several of them. I think they're all on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet. So, but now that you've reminded me,
I'm surprised nobody here has like mentioned like Kurt Cameron's Christmas special.
Oh no! Why would you?
why would
That
you
is so-
sully
that-
us like that?
The whole story behind that thing is so weird too. Like his whole like saving Christmas thing, because you would think that given who he is, it would be all about like, I'm gonna save Christmas from those, godless liberals. It's not though. It's him trying to convince other conservatives that Christmas doesn't suck, which is so weird because that's not something I've ever heard a conservative say. So
yeah,
it's like
who's been like, oh, Christmas, the shitty holiday.
it's like Kirk Cameron having an argument with something that doesn't exist.
So it's just Kirk Cameron on any day of his life.
Yeah. This is what happens when you're A, insane, and 2, have an ego problem.
So is Mike Lindell in this movie? But speaking of people who probably don't like Christmas,
I've seen the Christmas Prince more times than I really want to, but I do love
Oh,
Rose
boy.
McIver, so I'm never that mad about that one. The first one is pretty funny. It's fucked up in a way that's enjoyable. After that, it's a Sharknado thing. They become a little too aware, and it loses the magic.
What about Grumpy Cat Christmas?
Oh yeah, solid one. But I think we only started that one pretty recently, so I haven't made it a tradition.
my dad loves to watch the Hallmark Christmas movies on the Hallmark Channel. And when we're down there, my sister and I, if we sit still long enough and notice what he's watching, we get really, really objectionable and saucy and horrible. And get chased out of the room. So
I would get that way straight out the gate. It's like, let me guess. Is this about a a well-to-do white woman who goes to a town where they love Christmas? Get out of the room.
well, we were there at Thanksgiving and he was watching one and I watched about 5 minutes and I said, "Oh, this is 13 going on 30." And he kind of looked at me, but he didn't say anything. And I said, "Yeah, this is just the movie 13 going on 30, but set at Christmas." And he said, "Well, if you don't want to watch it, that's fine." I was like, no, it's okay, Daddy. You can watch the movie. It was.
I just looked up A Christmas Prince because I've never seen it.
Oh, we did that as an ATM last year.
Oh, okay. I must.
That was a fun
all right.
one.
I missed that one because I'm literally just looking at the cover and all I can see is the German cross on his collar and I'm like,
Oh, good
Yes,
Lord.
it's basically woman commits international war crimes to find true love.
It's a bad one. It is. It's fun bad. And Rose McIver again is always charming. I love her in Ghosts and iZombie. But
Wait, it's
yeah,
the
it's a
series?
bad movie. It is a bad movie. Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Oh, good Lord.
Each worse than the last.
Wow.
Culminating with A Christmas Regicide.
Like, I enjoyed laughing at the first one enough to go back and do it for an ATM. If we decided to tackle a sequel, I would not be on that episode.
oh, we need to. Oh shit, man! Turn them into tinsel.
Yeah, there's a lot of good, and by that I mean not good choices for that. In some ways, I dread that, but I also kind of look more forward to that than the Tournament of Terror. I don't know, because it's like, I guess bad Christmas movies I find easier to rip apart than bad horror movies.
Well, I think a Christmas movie is a little bit wider of a genre because a Halloween movie is kind of locked into horror in some aspect, pretty much. I mean, you can have a little bit of variance here and there, but it's almost always going to be an aspect. But Christmas, I mean, that's a setting. You can do, and they have done horror, you can do existential, you can do comedy, you can do drama. I mean, anything can be a Christmas movie. I mean, obviously there's the fucking hackney Die Hard reference at this point, but
Right.
It does work because of all the setting stuff. Like, so much can be a Christmas movie. It's just such a wider pool to draw from.
Yeah, I mean, past ATMs, we've done Jack Frost, we've done Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah. We've done Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's actually one of our better episodes, to be honest.
I love Muppet Christmas Carol.
I'm not sure Bob considers that one of our better episodes.
Well, it's never going to live up to his original.
Well.
And if you don't get that joke, why not go throw on the Muppet Christmas Carols at the movies? 'Tis the season.
Drew on the ball with the plugs tonight. Why don't we talk about Christmas dinner?
Mm.
Oh, you got to go first now, Misty. With that cackle.
Okay. So, it was sometime in my teen years. I don't exactly remember how old I was, but I decided, I was an only child until I was 11. So I had this only child mentality. The family is mine. Christmas is all mine. And yeah, okay, the sister came along, but it's still all mine. And so at Christmas time, I would be a bit demanding from time to time. And this particular year, I told my mother that I wanted us to have an English Christmas because, Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat and all that. I wanted that. I wanted a goose and I wanted plum pudding and I wanted to set it on fire. And I wanted that for Christmas. And so my mother...
Did you want a bean feast?
Right. I wanted a bean feast. And I want it now. So my mother, bless her heart, she did her best. She got a goose, and it was actually really good. And I don't remember everything else that she served with it, but she got a plum pudding, and she got the brandy. And when it was time for dessert, she set it on fire, and she brings it out with the little container of the hard white sauce, and it's on fire, and it's burning, and it's blue, and it's so pretty. Somehow I missed the point about plum pudding being fruitcake. I
Oh,
just
no.
didn't know. And she cuts, the fire goes out. She cuts me a piece, and I take one bite, and I'm going, okay, I deserve this because I'm going to have to eat this whole piece and pretend like I like it because I made such a fit about having this for Christmas. So I ate it. And it was horrible, and I've never had it again, and I've never demanded anything for dinner at Christmas again. But I learned my lesson. Plum pudding is disgusting. So
I can't remember if I've mentioned this or not before, but I had a bit of an odd situation for Christmas dinner growing up. My stepfather at the time had come from an Italian family, and so they did big Italian meals for Christmas, whereas my mom was from Texas, and so standard ham, stuffing, etc. So what we did was on Christmas Eve that we would do the huge Italian meal. And so lasagna, spaghetti, manicotti, cannelloni, and just all the different types of noodle, meat, pasta, cheese, etc. And it was great. It was heavy as shit. And then the big ass lunch the next day was a real slab on top of it. People slept hard at Christmas time.
We've gone through a couple of evolutions. Like growing up, that was like the second turkey holiday. You did turkey on Thanksgiving. You did turkey on Christmas. Then after I got married, we would go to my wife's family on for a while there for Christmas Eve and stuff, and it was all like Spanish and Portuguese food, which is mostly some variant on rice or or pork, which was okay, not really my favorite. Then we kind of started doing our own tradition, and just started one year because we decided to do something different. So our traditional Christmas dinner here is we'll get bacon wrapped fillets, steak, and I will make my penne vodka recipe. And that's been kind of that's been kind of our mainstay for about 10 years now. It's it goes down pretty good.
yum.
Man, I think it's basically like ham was kind of what my parents used to serve on Christmas Day for dinner. We would sometimes go to my cousin's for Christmas dinner. We would have our Christmas morning with my parents and everything. But once we lived out west, we would go visit my cousins for Christmas, and they're dairy farmers, and they always have beef on hand. They always have chicken on hand and stuff. My uncle would put on this massive just meat spread. That's just every kind of fucking meat spread out across multiple tables, and I would just stuff my face with beef and poultry, and then I would go into the other room and die. I would immediately fall. That's just how it would be.
I want that death.
The traditional meat coma.
It's a good death.
What are we having for dessert? More meat.
Yeah, basically, that is. I'll say that about my extended family, is that they really know how to cook meat. It's the only time in my life I've ever enjoyed oysters was when my cousin cooked them.
Oh God, what's for breakfast? Cream of meat. Okay, this is getting ridiculous.
I've never drunk a sloppy Joe through a straw before.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, how about desserts? Does anybody have any aside from plum pudding?
Oh, yes, please. Aside from plum pudding.
I have a fun story of my aunt messing up a dessert for herself. Bread pudding is a very standard one down around us, and with that, there's usually like a whiskey sauce. That whoever's making it will make and put alongside the bread pudding. But we were in a small kitchen one year, and so some of the stuff was a little closer together than it might have normally been. And we're all gathered around the dessert table, and my aunt comes and sits down, and she takes one bite of the bread pudding, and she bolts up from the table and runs to spit it out, and she comes back, she sits down, and she just kind of looks at it dejectedly, and she says, I poured gravy on top.
I had a incident I think it was around the holidays, very similar. My mom, when she was working at the hospital in Boston, my mom is like bit of background here. My mom is a relentless prankster. And
Oh, golly.
she's a nurse, and like she would do shit like she would bring fake rubber cockroaches to the whatever floor she was working on, and she would like just leave them in people's desks. She would do. My mom is an absolute terror when it comes to pranks. Anyway, my mom had one of her coworkers was over visiting our house, and my mom had recently pranked that coworker pretty severely. She had gone above and beyond her usual and created a fake patient. And managed to get her coworker assigned to take care of this patient. And this patient had basically everything wrong with them imaginable, and so my mom's coworker did not realize that the patient whose head she was patting in bed and was comforting and saying soothing words to was actually a mannequin. So this is my mother. This coworker was over at our house for holiday dinner, and she decided she was going to get back at my mother by replacing all of the sugar in the sugar bowl with salt. My mom was not the one she got with that. She got me. So I ended up with a cup of tea that was full of salt. And then years later, I told my wife about this as I was making a cup of tea, and it just so happened, by chance, that she had just accidentally filled the sugar bowl with salt. So I tell my wife this story, and I go to make my tea, and then I spit it out, and I'm like, seriously?
Dude, if she'd planned that, your wife's playing fucking 9
My wife does play extremely advanced joke games, but no, this was actually just a supreme happenstance.
It's like she's good, but she's not see-through time good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is honestly a pretty fair bar not to clear.
Yeah. And if they are clearing that bar, just let them have their pranks, because you ain't
I mean,
winning.
if they're clearing that bar, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah, I
You're
know.
not gonna win.
Yeah.
I see you plan some revenge. It will not work. I hope you're well aware of this. One, I guess we don't like. Okay, so good and bad. There's usually two things my wife will make. She'll make homemade eggnog, which is the fucking bomb.
Oh man, that does sound
Oh, I
really
do.
good.
And
I
she'll
do love
also-
making some eggnog. That's some good shit.
Oh yeah.
And she'll also make wassail, which is good up until the point that she starts dumping cloves in it. And I don't know what people's obsession with cloves are, but I don't think you can. I have never seen a drink or or recipe that cloves made better.
Now cloves in ginger snaps without the cloves in them. This ground cloves though, they're just not right unless the cloves are in there to give it that but
That little bite.
yep.
Yeah.
But cloves in drinks, it's like, oh, let me have a taste of this and enjoy the feeling of my tongue going numb.
Oh, see, I love cloves in mulled wine.
Yeah, I did.
I put clove in my mulled wine, and it gives it a nice kick. Of course, my mulled wine is it's like a bottle of port, 2 bottles of red wine, some like a half a cup of brandy or vodka, all cooked together with a bunch of spices. It will kill you dead.
Sounds lovely.
All right, sounds like we got to do a power hour.
The Christmas power
Gotta
hour.
figure out a way to make it for you guys. It's never been there's never been a way to accommodate that.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah. A lot of the recipes I cook, they don't travel well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I brought you guys some, like, some petty vodka that's been sitting in the back of my car for 12 hours.
Good old
Yes.
trunk vodka.
I feel like I made British food sound bad with my story about the plum pudding, and so I do want to add something else. My friend AJ Hartley, who is also a fantasy writer and a wonderful human being, used to have a Christmas party every year. Alas, it has fallen by the wayside because of COVID. But whenever he had us up to his house, he would make he's British, and he would make this trifle that I don't know what went in it, but it's cake and it's cream and there's some sort of alcohol in it, and it was the best dessert ever. And I'm still so sad that we don't have that party every year, because I miss having his trifle once a year.
Oh, just
Yeah.
for the record, you haven't ruined British cooking, because Steve's well ahead of you every time he talks to us about salmon moose rings.
Ooh, no, that. No, yuck, no. Trifle. Let's talk about trifle.
Yeah, the first time you said trifle, like, my brain kind of like fries, and like I immediately go to tripe, and I'm like, well, this isn't starting off so hot.
It's a terrible name for a dessert that is that good. But,
Yeah,
but it really is that good. So
yeah, like that sounds like, no offense to our Scottish listeners, but I'm gonna offend you. That sounds like it should be like some like Scottish dish made of like animal entrails or something.
Honestly,
like
for
that-
a while, I thought people were just mispronouncing truffle.
oh yeah, I can see that.
I didn't think that it was its own food. I just thought that you were wrong.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've been around a bunch of people who collectively decide to use a wrong pronunciation. Looking at
Oh.
you, Burgundy Street.
It's like, we're gonna have some cream brulee tonight.
Yum.
Cream brulee. Oh, God.
Actually,
My-
that is one that I do like making a lot, especially since I got my sous vide machine. Is I make a bunch of individual creme brulees in little small mason jars,
Mhm.
and those are great. You can make them in advance. They store easy. They transport, and then it's fun. You just pop them off, sugar the tops, and you light the torch.
Nice.
Yum.
You could always, if we're talking about weird foods, you could talk about I think it's called skerpikjot, which is it's a type of mutton from the Faroe Islands that is basically like buried in it's basically like dead sheep that gets buried in the ground and ferments.
I'm fascinated by that kind of thing. I'm not going to eat it, but I'm fascinated by the cultures that come up with that. What's
It's like
the
have some-
lutefisk?
Lutefisk.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that just blows my mind.
I like kimchi, but like the concept of like doing the same thing to animal to meat
Yeah.
does not sound appealing in the least.
No.
I just want to try it. It's like I want to. Just give me that dead sheep, like the one that you dried in the frigid Faroe Islands winds.
Yeah. And that started because, like, some hungry drunk guy was just like, oh, sheep died 3 weeks ago. Oh, let's see if it's still. Hey, this isn't bad.
Yeah, speaking as a guy who hails from a culture where one of our now delicacies was a yard pest, can confirm.
Ew.
As for what I eat the sheep, I've made this joke many a time, and it always holds true. If it flies, swims, slithers, or crawls, Cajun will eat it.
Well, okay, yeah.
Well, Ruth's been rotting in the ground for a while.
Oh no!
No.
Some
That just strikes me as like like.
just give me that good
It's like-
fermented meat.
Yeah. Like, that strikes me as like, go. It's like, oh, poor Billy lost Mr. Whiskers at the pet cemetery. Well, let's grab the shovels. It's almost dinner time.
Oh.
Your cat's not much good. Like a lot of apex predator meat isn't actually that tasty. Like wolf is really gamey. For example, it just doesn't taste good.
Because it doesn't tend to have any fat, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have much
Yeah.
fat, and it doesn't have. I guess bear is pretty good if you can get one that's been eating tasty stuff.
I'd be willing to try stuff like that. I'm just not
Oh yeah,
fermented in the ground for 3 months. No, but I will leave that adventure to you.
yeah.
I don't like
Bring me
going
to
to
the
Uncle Jeb's for Christmas. He has 3-month-old rotting bear meat.
All right, I'm gonna need a lactate and a pot of rice.
Let's do this. Scarabicchiot!
I ferment it in the same jar, make my kombucha.
Get kombucha.
Oh,
I don't know if we're gonna top that.
you know what? I say that we're at an hour. Why try?
And now I'm gonna have that stuck in my head because I know she's not gonna listen to this. But I got my wife a kombucha kit, and now I'm all gonna think about is like she's, hey, why don't you want to try this? Yeah, I'll try your kombucha.
Yeah, you get away from that donut shop. Come over here. We got the real bear claws. Come on, they're stuffed with nature's sweetness.
Oh God.
You make a rug out of what's left.
Well, I guess from us to all of you, I hope you have a much happier holiday than we've laid out here.
Speak for yourself, man. I'm gonna have some bear. I'm gonna ferment it.
Have a very Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.